everyone, this is Diane. I think this is going to be a short video, but it is a conclusion of the Stashistry series for postage stamps. So it's only 2 videos. So in the first video, I made these little booklets and these circles with little collages featuring a postage stamp. This one uses 4 postage stamps. And some clusters with just some scraps of scrapbook paper. And then I did a few more without the camera. I took these little merchandise tags. These are coffee dyed ones. And I put a stamp on each side. And it's hanging on a bulb pin. So if it's hanging and it spins around, you'll have an image on both sides. I love the daisies. And so those are coffee dyed ones. And these are pink dyed ones. These were given to me by my friend Sue a long time ago. And she gave me so many. I still have quite a few. I mean, all of these, not just the pink ones. So that's really fun and very, very quick to do. Glue on your stamps, add the bulb pin. I had to shorten the string because it was a really long string like that. And you're done. Put a bulb pin on, you're done. One thing you could do is put a little cheesecloth or something behind it if you wanted to add another step to it. Then I have these vintage notepads that I picked up, I think at a flea market or estate sale. That's what I was trying to think of. So I thought they're cute with the circle, and then this was where they were attached, and there's a hole there for some reason. There was a cover on these, but that's gone. So I just used the papers for journaling spots. So for something fun, I decided to stamp a lined stamp on there. This is from Stampin' Up, but I'm sure it came with a set of other stamps. Doesn't have a label on it because it goes in a box, and the box has the label on it. But I just stamped journaling lines and then added a long, like a horizontal stamp there. And that was it for these. And again, very, very simple. I love this one. And I had 2 of the balloons. And then another one that's quite simple is I took some coffee dyed index cards, stamps that are close to the same size. This one was a little smaller than this one, but they're close. I glued the bigger one to a piece of cardstock and cut around it, and then glued it to the card, and then glued the other stamp to the back. So you have a little tab on your index cards. Now this one I used 2 to make the width of that, so that was something fun to do. And again, this one has 2. And that one has 2. So very simple. So today I'm going to continue on these, and then I have these. Where's my paper? Was that all I was going to do? Yep, I'm going to do these and then make a couple more clusters with these little thin strips. It'll be a little different from the ones I already did. So I took some cardstock scraps, a piece of trim or lace, and a stamp, and glued them to the cardstock. But first, I made sure I had the size right. I pinked around the edges, like I pinked one end and one length, and then put the stamp on it so I would know where to pink that edge. And I'm going to add buttons to these. I use different kinds of lace. And this one I just added a button to it. and I put it vertical instead of horizontal. I'm just going to glue this one on. I didn't glue right to the edges on these, but I took them to the sewing machine and sewed around both the stamp and the lace once the glue was dry. I started out by cutting the lace short of the stamp. This one, it goes under the stamp a little bit. So there's not lace all the way across, especially with these thicker cotton ones. And this one. And this one. Those are all thicker trims. This one, I did put it all the way across and then moved the piece down, not right to the edge, and turned it vertical. And this one, again, this is a very thin lace, so I covered the whole cardstock with it, and I'm going to put this pretty flower stamp on it and make it vertical. And at some point after the video, I will sew around the ones that I'm creating on video. So let me do one from the beginning. I need to select a stamp. This is a big one. I think we'll do a vertical one with this. Okay, so I'm going to take my pinking shears. These are vintage pinking shears that I got at a flea market, and they're not ergonomic. I can't use them very long because they would make my hand hurt. I have some nice new fabric pinking shears. These do not work on fabric. Maybe they used to, but they don't now. But I use them for paper. And how long do I want it to be? Maybe that long. Okay, so I started that right there. And I'm just going to eyeball it and hope I can get it straight. This is a longer piece, so it might be more difficult to keep the scissors straight, especially trying to line up the pinking edges. Okay, so we have that, and we have this, and now I just need to select a lace or a trim. See how this would look with it. I like that one. And it's a thick one, so I don't want it to go under the stamp too much. I'll cut it off right there. And when that is dry, or probably tomorrow, I will sew around that and then add a button to it. So let's just finish these up with buttons. And then I'll do a couple of the clusters with the strips. I did pull some buttons out. I just have to remember which ones went with what. I loved this vintage one with the texture on it to go with this stamp. There's a pretty kind of a deep pink or burgundy, and it matches that really nicely. So you would just glue these to a page or a pocket to embellish. The button, of course, would make it difficult to write on the page that lays on it. But if you had a writing board, that would help with that. Sometimes we just make it difficult to write for the aesthetics of what we're doing, right? So some of these have old thread in them. They came out of this jar that I got at the flea market. And I use glossy accents to sew or to glue my buttons in, plastic or metal pieces. Glossy accents seems to work well for that. It's a clear dimensional medium made by Ranger. Stampin' Up! Has a version of it, and I can't remember now what it is. But that's what I used to use all the time because I went to Stampin' Up! Parties. But I don't anymore. Nobody does them anymore that I know. I have two friends that they're like demonstrators. One of them doesn't do parties. She just did it so that she and her sister and her friends like me could order. And another one, I think she does parties. She has a little business. But anyway, we don't have our parties with our friends anymore. I miss them. But they have a medium like this. So it's called a medium, not a glue. But you can use it as a glue. I should show you sometime how to use it as a medium. Keeps clogging though. These two, they're the same, and they have a little piece of fabric that's still sewn to the button back there, and it makes it bulkier. So if it doesn't want to stick, I can trim that part off and try it again. But I think these look pretty cool. Make them different sizes. You could make a bigger one and add more stamps and make it a tuck spot or something, side pocket. So after I sew these, I will add buttons to them. So now these should be pretty easy. I cut these colorful scraps into strips, narrow strips. And this one was already in my scrap bin, so it's just two pieces sewn together, and it's just a scrap. I had done something with some pieces sewn together, and this little piece was left over. So let's start with that. I'll add a small piece. I wanted to keep that dark brown piece. I want to let the stitches show too. I'll just add that, and I will look for a stamp. I've got to clean this table up and then be done with the stamp stuff, because I don't like this mess here. It's just something simple like that. And I could put a little circle or something behind the stamp. See if I have any little ones already punched. so they're all too big. Let's try that. Let's see, this is 1 inch, and I have 1 1/4. Let's try that one. That's better. So, who, watching this video right now, who has a stash of postage stamps to use? And if so, who would like to try some of these embellishment pieces that we're making in these 2 videos? This would be good to, if you had a little stamp that had small script or something on it, to stamp on the circle before you glue the stamp down. That would be fun, but I'm not going to do that because my time is limited today. It's already late afternoon, and my daughter is coming over for chicken and biscuits for dinner. Got the chicken in the oven. That's an interesting stamp. So I'll choose some colors that will go with that. That's too short. Just stagger them up like that. Cut that one a little shorter. And I think I'll glue this to a piece of cardstock to back it. It's going to hang off the embellishment. I'm going to cut the longest one at an angle. You could cut them all at an angle. I might even put a piece of lace under here. like the pink piece. It doesn't have to be graduated, short, longer and longest, or like that. It can be staggered. So this is the medium, the long, and the short. I can't pick that up. Let's pick a stamp for this. Oh, should glue it here too. This is a good way to use up little scraps of paper, the strips that you might have. Actually, I'm going to punch another circle. I think the next size I have would be too big. I'm not sure where it is. But let me try another punch that I have. Can I get this off my finger? Apparently not. There. I have this label punch. Oh, that would have been better if it was that way. Well, I could make it that way, couldn't I? I can turn that label any way I want to. Yeah, I like that. I'm going to ink around that. And it needs something at the top. A ribbon or something. What does it need at the top? Got this little ruffle. Yeah, we'll do that. I even saved my snippets of fabric ruffles. That's a cute little embellishment. Let's do one more. We've got lots of time, so I mean, the video has lots of time. I don't. I need to make one more and then go make some biscuits or get my kitchen ready for making biscuits or something. Oh, it's a Christmas stamp. Make another daisy embellishment. I'm going to scoot these in closer together. And I think I'm just going to staple them and then tack a little glue so they're not too floppy. And I'll trim this. Looks about right. Okay. Let me trim this first. I think I'll cut all of these on an angle. Didn't need to put glue on everything. Okay, let us recap what all the embellishments with stamps were. I want to put something pretty there to look at. We have these strip clusters. And let me tell you, I'm thinking of putting these together in bundles and selling these embellishments that we've been making. We have the pinked cardstock with trim or lace and a stamp and a button. And we just made those, so just have two that I need to sew and add a button. We did well, I did these without you, but they're copy dyed index cards, but you could use plain or like the pastel colored or the fluorescent ones, whatever type of journal you like to make, and then add stamps onto cardstock to make tabs. So we have all of those. Just take a sheet of note paper and stamp some journaling lines and add a stamp to the top. The little merchandise tags, dye them or don't dye them, add a stamp. And if you want to, add a little bit of cheesecloth or fibers or handmade paper or something underneath the stamp for added texture and interest. Some other clusters, they're a little bit wider pieces of paper than what we did today. Oh, forgot about the flowers. Didn't think about even adding them to anything today. The circles, stamped on the circle, we stamped a background and then added some collage with a stamp and a bit of lace, some ephemera. That's a little game piece there. And the booklets. I think they're five sheets of paper, and then the piece of nice cardstock from Stampin' Up, not too sturdy and not too thin, little die cut. So that's a lot of different embellishments that we did with postage stamps, and there are lots more ideas. I'm sure you have ideas too, but I hope that this at least inspires you to get out your stamps and start making something, even if it's not the projects that I did in my 2 videos. Just get out your stamps and play. Another fun thing to do is just take some of the stamps, like I've lined them up here, just line them down the side of your page, either uniform, like vertical, straight up and down, or tipped like I did, one way and the other. That's a fun thing to do. Lots of things to do with stamps. So I hope that you enjoyed this and that you'll come back to see what happens next in my pretty pink cottage. And I'll see you then. Have a creative day. Bye.